I have come to the conclusion that I hate trucks. This is John Davis, and I am on Laughlin Highlands Farm. What's going on, everybody? As I am doing my non-farm job and rolling down the road here in my 2017 F250, it occurred to me I had mentioned something a few weeks ago about my truck, but I never told you guys the saga. And the saga is making me hate vehicles, especially diesel trucks. On one hand, I love them. On the other hand, the amount of money that these things take to maintain and keep is just mind-boggling. And I'm not sure how people are doing it. So consider this video like a call for help, maybe, or a just reaching out to the internet of what are people doing with trucks, all right? So here's the issue. The issue is that this is a 2017 F250. I bought it with 55,000 miles on it as a used truck to be not only my daily driver, because these things are so expensive, I don't want to have 25 vehicles, but I used it to be a heavy hauler as well. And frankly, as a diesel engine for its size, I get pretty good mileage with it. As it sits right now, I'm at 19.9 miles per gallon. And that's been mostly freeway driving today, unloaded. That's not bad. I drive a lot of miles. I bought this truck 3 years ago and I have 203,000 miles on it, and that's not too bad. Here's the issue. That's a gigantic hand, can't put that there. Here's the issue with the truck. I bought this truck, like I said, to haul hay, haul animals, do all that. And diesel trucks really are the best truck for that entire situation. They have good gas mileage. You can tow a lot with them. This 2017 F250, I can tow 14,500 pounds off the bumper, even more if I'm using a gooseneck. It's a great truck for doing that, and it's better than all the gas trucks. Sorry, it just is. That's the reality of it. But I found out about a week ago that my truck has developed what's called Blowby, and that is a death sentence for diesel trucks. Blowby is when you're getting exhaust gases that are coming through the piston rings and blowing out, not the exhaust. Typically, it comes out of the valve cover. When you take off the oil fill cap, you start seeing exhaust come out of there, and it looks like a tea kettle. That is definitely not good. These engines are notorious for cracking pistons. These engines, being the 6.7 Powerstroke, are notorious for cracking pistons, and once you crack a piston or you start to lose a piston ring, it all goes downhill from there. And as it turns out, replacing the engine in its entirety is oftentimes, well, either the same cost or less expensive than just fixing it, right? Because you still got to pull the cab off the truck, pull the engine out, take the transmission off, diagnose what was going on, and then if you're trying to salvage the block, you may have scoring issues in the block from when the piston started to overheat. I mean, it could be a whole mess of things, right? I took the truck to my mechanic, and the cost to replace the engine with a new engine from Jasper, factory Ford engine that's been inspected and assembled by Jasper, that comes with a 100,000 mile warranty, which is pretty cool, comes out to about $25,000, including labor and some parts that we would replace anyway, like a new turbo and some other, let's say, upgrade parts to increase the longevity of the engine, including replacing the stupid Bosch CP4 fuel pump, so you don't have to worry about that problem when it rears its ugly head. So that is the cost of it, 25,000 bucks. And I've got a truck that, to replace this truck is an $80,000 to $100,000 bill nowadays, because inflation is stupid. Or I can put 25K into a truck that has 200,000 miles on it and try to, make my way with this truck and put another 100,000 miles on it to justify the cost of keeping the truck, maybe another 150,000 miles. All that said, a bunch of other stuff is starting to break on the truck, and I'm a big Dave Ramsey guy. I subscribe to, well, it's not even Dave Ramsey, it's biblical, that the borrower is the slave to the lender. I hate that. I really, really hate that, and we try to minimize it as much as we can. And with as expensive as these trucks are nowadays, I don't really know how to get around that. Not to mention that new vehicle, even for excellent credit ratings, new vehicle interest rates are, you know, a lot. 7%, 6%, something crazy like that. I just don't like how that looks. What we tried to do a while back, for those of you who are like, hey, just buy an old truck. I did buy a 1996 F250, and we proceeded, and it, you know, those are expensive, but it was a rust-free truck with a good motor. And just to get it working to where it was reliable and something I'd feel comfortable driving with a trailer on it for, you know, a few hundred miles, we wound up putting roughly, let's say 15,000 into that truck. And it still doesn't do what we want it to do, because as it turns out, trucks from, you know, 27 years ago, if I did my math correctly, just aren't as capable as modern trucks. And we wound up buying my wife a truck. We had her car paid for. We bought her a used Dodge Ram 2500, which would be great for what she wants to use it for. And, you know, we're good to go. But I still need a daily driver. Long story short, I'm putting that 1996 F250 on to bring a trailer, and I'm selling that truck to generate cash to pay for the engine, because I can't do anything with this black truck until I fix the motor on it or replace the motor on it, and then we'll go from there. The point is, I don't know how people do this. Is there anybody out there on YouTube that has figured out how to beat this rat race with trucks? And I've looked at this every way that I can possibly think of. Spreadsheets, you know, the whole 9 yards. I've looked at buying a smaller, cheap car to use as my daily driver. And mind you, I drive 60,000 miles a year for my mainline business. I've looked at just, you know, biting the bullet and buying a new truck to replace this one after selling this one. I feel like I've looked at all of the potential situations here, and I do not have a good path forward on what to do here. And we can't do without a truck, because we tow something heavy with this truck on a regular basis. And the 2500, which is a gasser, my wife's Dodge, it just doesn't have the towing capacity for a full hay load, which is something we do on, well, in the winter, every month or so, it seems like. So for all you ranchers and farmers out there, how have you solved the truck problem? I'd love to know. This is something that we haven't figured out, and I really don't want to buy a truck that costs as much as our first house. So if you have input on that, I'd love to know. It's John Davis with Laughlin Highlands Farm. If you want to look at one of my other truck videos, I made one called Stop Selling Beef at Poverty Pricing that did really well. I'll post a link here. Check that out. Maybe I need to sell more beef to afford a better truck. Maybe that's where it's at. God bless you all. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to your input. Have a great night.